Hi. I just got out of the gym. This is a car transmission because today I didn't even put it together that it might be dark out by the time I get out of Zumba, but here's the deal. I planned to do this live earlier today, and the day had another plan for me, and I was mostly in transition and allowing the upgrades and changes to move through me. So I was vertical for quite a bit today. And so the intention as I'm sharing this transmission is to, send the energy your way. So in my work and how I work, the words are a vehicle, but my main language is energy. Hello, Anne, Christine, Bill. So we are in a cycle right now of energy. What I've been realizing is that I follow cycles. And we are in a cycle right now where there's a lot of fire, chaos, change, upheaval around relationships. And when I'm talking about relationships, I don't just mean romantic relationships. I mean family relationships, friend relationships, client relationships, all kinds of relationships. And relationships give us the opportunity to see different angles of ourselves that we wouldn't normally see, when we're on our own. And so when we go into these relationships, chaos can occur. And I believe, and I don't know, I just know, and I see it happen, that when chaos is occurring, it's really just a reminder or a guide for us to get back to remembering who we are, which is love. We are love. We forget that we're love. We have conditioning, we have childhood experiences, whether as, traumatic or even just not being picked on the kickball team in school, where we start to believe these things about ourselves that we're not important, we're not chosen, we're not worthy, we're not loved. And the journey of this life is to remember that we are loved, that we are worthy, that we are chosen. And so it's like about reconditioning your mind. And what I see happen in these relationships is that the chaos occurs, and the automatic processes, right, is like when you get hurt, the first thing you want to do is you close down, you want to run away. It's like fight, flight, or freeze, right? That's our, hey Jeff, that's our nervous system, right? Is fight, flight, or freeze. Well, when there's chaos in a relationship, that can trigger the same thing, where we, fight. So we defend whatever we're feeling, right? Or we flight, we run away, or we freeze and we shut down. Now, the thing is that when we do any of those processes, we're not actually getting the outcome that the experience is bringing us. And it's like, the saying is like, wherever you go, there you are. So whatever's not resolved in the current relationship, you're going to take it with you. Now, this is all actually stirred up because for me, the last few weeks, and maybe for you too, let me know, has been quite chaotic with relationships. And even yesterday, a friend and I had an exchange where it was like, we both went through like 5 years of therapy. Now, the only reason that happened is that neither one of us was willing to shut down, run away, or freeze, right? So how do I want to say this? So what happens is that, wait, let me get back to where I was like focusing on. So it's like if your automatic system, all right, so it's just easier for me to share the example. My automatic system was that I had a trigger, right? So something had happened, I had a trigger, and my thing was to pull away and do my processing. Well, in me pulling away to do my processing, it triggered her like fears of abandonment, right? So she's triggered, I'm triggered. It's a trigger factory. But we both have this commitment to ourselves and to the relationship and to the friendship that we're not going to just like cut off the relationship. So the thing is that if you want to change, heal, and transform, stick with whatever is going on in the relationship. Stick with what is happening, because the other person, the experience, is showing something about you, for you, an inner wound, an inner belief, an inner fear that is no longer serving you. And the relationship trigger is supporting you and being able to see it in a way that you'll be able to release it. Now, for her and I, it's like we're both going to, how do I want to say? We're both going beyond our edge, right? She's in the middle of compiling, is that a word? Compiling? Compiling books to put out, which means that, you know, her opinions, her thoughts are going to be out in the world. And so in our exchange, what happened for her is she got triggered in feeling like, oh my God, I said something wrong. I should have said something differently. I shouldn't have said anything at all. And really, upon reflection and moving through the experience, she built the muscle. She built the muscle to see that, like, what comes through her is meant to come through her, right? And her like shutting down or changing who she is not going to serve her moving forward when she's bringing her message out into the world. And so what happens is that when we have these chaotic experiences, when we're in these times of transition and change, we're starting to, you're going to see parts of yourself that you may not like. So she was reflecting back to me what her experience was of me, and there were parts of me that I was like, oof, I didn't want to look at it, but I knew that the only way that I wasn't going to continue, like, repeat these experiences was to really sink in and listen to what her experience was, so that I can I can make the change and adjustment. Because truth be told, what happened yesterday happened with somebody else a month ago. And it was where someone else was triggered. And here's the thing, you're not responsible for how anybody feels or how anybody responds, right? But of course we want to be compassionate. Of course we want to be respectful of everybody. So that's where it's like that fine line of, like, in these relationships, that you're not becoming codependent where, you know, you're feeling responsible for the other person's feelings. The point to this entire video, the entire message that I'm sharing with you today, is that when there's a trigger, when there is an emotional response, when there is an expectation of somebody else's behavior that is from you, right? If you're expecting someone else to behave differently so that you can feel better, it's really an indicator that there's something within you, because trying to get the other person to change is going to just be like beating your head against a wall. So your trigger is your treasure. That gives you the opportunity to open up and see, like, remain open and see what is here for me. What is being reflected back to me? And I'll tell you, like, it's a lot of the times it's stuff that we've hidden for ourselves, or that we've created coping mechanisms, or or we've had pain from our past that we just haven't visited. And you want to clear that, because you don't want to take that to your next relationship. You don't want to bring that into, your friendships, your relationships, with your coworkers and partners beyond. And so a lot of times what happens is when you get triggered, it's like putting your hand on a hot stove and you want to pull away. And what I'm saying is, like, remain open and take a real honest look, like, what is happening for me here? Stick to the facts. Okay. A couple of things that I want you to take away is stick to the facts. It's like, people will say, well, they didn't call me back, and so that must mean that I'm not important, and they don't love me, and they don't really care, and like all of the stories, when the facts are, they just didn't call you back. End of story. Right? But when you start to go in all the stories, that's an indicator that you have an inner wound that you're trying to protect. So stick to the facts, and then really get inside, like, what is happening for me? Like, what am I making mean about this whole situation. I'm not important. I wasn't chosen. I'm not valued. I'm not respected, whatever it may be. And then that's for you to, I mean, it may come to a point where you're like, yeah, this relationship, I'm not being respected. There isn't compassion. I'm not being honored. I'm not being chosen. And then it's like, then you make that choice for the empowered space instead of the hurt space where you're running away. You want to, the second place is that blame. If you are blaming the other person, I learned this from Debbie Ford. When you point your finger to the other person, there's actually 4 fingers pointing back at you and 1 pointing the other way. When you're blaming another for how you're feeling, you're actually giving your power to another person. You're giving your power to another person, saying that you have the power to how I feel. You have the power to make me feel bad. You have the power to make me feel good. False, false, false. You're giving away your power. People say, well, how do I keep my energy? How do I keep my energy container strong? Take a look at where you're blaming anything outside of you for how you're feeling. Okay. So that's the second thing. Blame. Okay. Hold on. I made some notes because I knew I was going to be expectation of how your response is your responsibility. I might've covered it all. Okay. Nope. Third point is, take responsibility for yourself, right? So instead of blaming, take responsibility. Take 100% responsibility that the situation that you're in, you created for some reason, and that it is pointing to something within you that is no longer serving you. You've made a meaning about yourself. You have a belief that's not true about who you are, and the experience is triggering it so that you can release it. Now, there's many different ways that release it. If you can get to the core, right? Because a belief is energy. And if you can get to the sensation of the belief and release it through your being, you're free from it. And then what happens is that you're no longer carrying it around to attract it with you. I was in a relationship for 11 years. We were engaged. We had a house together. And so, I was thinking we were going to get married and stuff, but something wasn't feeling right. And I couldn't put my finger on it. And retrospect, I can look back now. Neither one of us had our hearts open. I had too much trauma. His heart was closed for whatever reason, but we matched. We matched because we both had closed hearts. And thank goodness that we had the courage to end the relationship so we can both go on our own journey and, find and, be with people that are more of a match to what it is that we desire for ourselves. So if you're sitting in a relationship right now and you're feeling like something doesn't feel right, tune into yourself. If you're looking to have the other person change so you can feel better, you're already fucked. If you're, hanging on because you're afraid that you're going to hurt the other person, well, you're hurting yourself by holding on, and you're hurting them by holding on. Hey, Zoe, you're hurting them by holding on and not allowing them to go and find the relationship that they want to be in. Relationships are the catalyst to expansion, growth, and healing. And when you run away when it gets too hot or too painful, you're only going to take with you what that was stirred up. So the journey of relationship is going in. Now, let me just tune in and see if there's anything more I want to share here. Oh, and check my notes. Hold on. Okay, so what happens is that when you do the healing, when you do heal the parts that say I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, for me, for a long time, I had trauma around betrayal. And so what happened is that it actually showed up in all of my relationships. It wasn't about, it was them because they did it, but it was because I had an inner vibration that was a match to betrayal. When I cleared the betrayal, I stopped attracting it. So when you heal these parts of you, you're going to stop attracting, friendships, lovers, bosses. Oh my God, I had some of the craziest bosses. You're going to stop attracting the experiences into your life to help you release this. As we're growing and expanding and moving to, bringing new earth in 5D, expanding to the fullest essence that you are, you can't bring this crap with you. It's like I've said to clients before, it's like, carrying a backpack around with you with your hurt and your pain. I can't stress enough, how valuable you are to take the time to go in and look at these things as hard and as uncomfortable as they can feel, because your life will change. Because you're a vibrational being, and your beliefs are vibrations, your feelings are vibrations. And if you're trying to protect yourself from betrayal, if you're trying to protect yourself from hurt, if you're trying to protect yourself from not feeling worthy, you're still carrying that. So that has to be released so that you can, and relationships bring that in. So let me just see if there's anything more I wanted to share. Do you guys have any questions? Okay, here's one thing that's coming through. Okay, yeah, because I feel this hard now. There's a lot of relationships that have ended recently. They've ended, and breakups suck. They just do. And even when they're coming from the place of realizing that this person wants one thing, the other person wants another thing, exactly what Zoe said, we're worth it. We are so worth it. The time, energy, and attention to go within, because I can't stress enough how your inner environment is what, creates your outer world. And so these breakups suck. So whether it's coming from a place of, I've definitely broken up with people, because there was pain, and either the other person didn't want to explore it. And actually the friend that I just told you about from yesterday, her and I have been friends for 5 years on and off. And there's been times where we've ended our relationship, but we both know as conscious beings that relationships are what are here to help us grow and expand. So if you've gone through a breakup recently, it's super easy to think about all of the great things that have happened in the relationship, all of the great things. It's just, you kind of forget about all of the bad things and the reasons why you broke up in the first place. And it's hard to let go. And there's if you're finding yourself repeating the cycle of pain, and you can't get over the grief, and that's all a natural process. But if you keep finding that you're getting stuck in it and not being able to move on, go inside and just see what part of me is asking for healing right now. What do I need to give me? So many people get into relationship and they expect the other to love them more, or do things for them, and then they're not even willing to do that for themselves. So if you're going through a breakup, allow yourself to have the mourning, the grief, and what I'm hearing is forgive yourself, forgive the other person, trust. Okay, this is what's coming through very strong. Trust that nothing goes past you that's meant for you. Now, I've repeated a couple of relationships, and I don't know that I would do it again, but just because I know that I go and I grow through the whole thing. Unless the other person is totally willing to do the growth, I'm not interested. But trust that as you do the inner work, the match for you is going to show up. You're going to magnetize it. You are going to attract it. And even inside a current relationship you're in, I've actually worked with a client where, she was having some discord with her husband, and we did some energy work around it, and he shifted. She was just almost she couldn't even believe how much her partner had shifted from her doing the inner work, almost as if he was a different person. I've done it too. And it's really allow yourself to, get comfortable with having a completely different experience. I've had some deep healing that I've needed to do with some close relationships of mine. And as I've done the deep healing, and really for me, it was letting go. It's what we do is we hold on to pain and resentment as if it's going to keep us from getting hurt or having that person, hurt us again. And really what it does is it just holds this energy, and that person has to show up in that role because energy serves us. So if our perception of the person is they're going to hurt us, or they're not showing up the way that they want, or like they're not loving us the way that they want, that's what's going to happen. If you shift your perception, and usually it's so much about allowing yourself to receive the love that you really want. It's an inner job. I just can't stress it enough. So use the relationships, use the experiences of the relationships that you've had to see what is the belief, what is the pain inside of me that this experience is helping me to uproot, so that you can heal it and move on. Because otherwise you're just going to repeat it in the next relationship if you keep like seeing it over and over again. Oh, here's the last piece I'll share and then I'm going to go. Is that yesterday when I was having this discord with my girlfriend, we were actually talking over Voxer. It's kind of like a WhatsApp app. Or WhatsApp app. What's it called? WhatsApp? What's it called? Well, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, a Voxer. And so we're talking back and forth. And when she had said the things that like really like had me fired up, I started to get chest pain, as if there was like a knife in my chest. And so I went in and I did some meditation and I did some energy work around it. And I was like really tuning into like I shared with you, I wasn't like blaming her, getting mad at her. I was looking at what was this emotional trigger for me? Like what was underneath all of this? And actually part of it was me owning my fire and passion and strong belief that I had about what was happening, because we were disagreeing on something. And so as her and I like ended up working through it, some throat stuff started happening with me. Her throat started to get some stuff. There was like a ball in her throat. There was like I was losing my voice. So, pay attention to your body, because what happens is that your body is your body holds the energy of your beliefs and your pains and your hurts and your betrayals and fears and insecurities, whatever it is. And then as you do, like, your body may also, so beyond the emotional trigger, beyond the expectations of another's behavior, there's also your body is going to give you signals and signs that there may be something that you're not seeing that is going to give you an opportunity to grow, heal, and expand. And so I think that's it. So I just highly encourage you to take responsibility. Don't blame the other person. Recognize when you fight, flight, freeze. Take the opportunities that are being presented to you to do the inner work and the healing. And, just know that if the relationship is meant for you, it'll come back for you. But it also may be showing you that it's time to like really put a stake in the ground and be really clear about what you're available for. And then what happens is that what you're available for will show up. So I hope this is helpful. If you know anybody that's going through any kind of relationship challenges right now, please send this to them. I really hope it was helpful. My intention was to send energy through to help clear some of this out of your system. I mean, I did a call with a client not too long ago, and she was starting to tell me what was wrong. And I was just like doing this energy work. And then she lost it. She's like, I can't even like think of what was wrong. And she's like, I can't even believe how much better I feel already. Because we're vibrational beings, and where we're going in this like healing and expansion and new earth and 5D, whatever you want to, resonate with it, is that we cannot be bringing the density with us. We cannot be bringing with us beliefs that we're not worthy, that we're not enough, or that like we're not chosen. Like you are chosen, you are worthy. And the first person that needs to recognize that you're worthy is you. And if there's anything in the way of you recognizing that, get yourself on it. You are totally worth it. Your life is worth it. And I promise you that when you do the inner work, everything in your life will change. Not only your relationships, your money, your circumstances, your health, your body. I mean, a lot of this inner work is how I lost 100 pounds. So if you're watching the replay, I'll come back and check the messages. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your energy back on this. And I'll see you soon.